What are we discussing today?
We're going to readdress racism.
Serious topic.
That's right.
And this time I'm putting the noodle away.
That's right. Because we truly believe this is a serious topic. We love humor.
But we don't think we can really joke about what we talk about today.
That's right. Before we start though, Mushy and I want to thank all of you who have reached out to us. Phone calls, texts, and in person. Thank you all for expressing your concern, and thank you all for caring. Over the past week or so, though disheartened, saddened, and somewhat disgusted by some of the things occurring on the national stage, we have also felt tremendous love and support from so many of our family and friends, regardless of color and actually political affiliation. And to us, that latter is the America we came for. That is the America we work hard for. That is the America we are proud of. And that is the America that has the potential to be great again. Howdy folks, welcome to our channel. I am Pushy.
I'm Mushy.
And we're the Pushy Mushy. Please like or dislike, hopefully not dislike, subscribe, comment, share, and press that bell icon.
Do you think COVID-19 has anything to do with the hate crime against Asians?
I do. I have stated in our very first episode that I personally have encountered racism remarks while I was caring for COVID-19 patients. The anti-China sentiment in this country, I believe, has now really reached a new pinnacle. While I acknowledge anti-China as an important political strategy for many, I want to raise one very important point, which is China does not equal Chinese Americans. China and Chinese Americans are two very different entities. Therefore, anti-China does not equal anti-Chinese Americans. If you cannot differentiate between the two, I urge you to stop anti-anything, even if you believe in the term China virus, which is not accurate in my opinion. I want to emphasize that China virus is not Chinese Americans virus. To illustrate what I'm saying, I'm going to introduce y'all to some facts and references from the Pew Research Center.
So what is Pew Research Center?
The Pew Research Center is a nonpartisan American policy institute based in Washington, D.C. that provides information on social issues, public opinion, and demographic trends. It does not take policy positions and, in my opinion, is a very fair, legitimate, and valuable source of information.
According to the Pew Research Center, there's not a single country of origin group that dominates the U.S. Asian population, but the largest groups are of Chinese, Indian, and Filipino origin.
This means that Chinese Americans do not represent the majority of Asian American population. They might be the most within the Asian American population, but they are by far less than 50% of the total Asian American population.
As of 2015, 24% Asian Americans were of Chinese origin. The next two largest origin groups are Indian origin Asians, 20%, and Filipinos, 19%. Those with roots in Vietnam, Korea, and Japan also make a substantial portion of the overall Asian American population.
This means that, as of 2015, 76% of Asian Americans were not of Chinese origin. If we extrapolate this a little further, this means that when people ask Asian Americans to go back to China, they are generally wrong 3 out of 4 times because most of us Asian Americans or our ancestors are not from China. You can certainly argue about Indian origin Asians not looking exactly like the so-called Oriental Asians and play with or manipulate the statistics a little to make Chinese origin Asians more substantial within that whole pie of Asian Americans. But I'm not sure about the purpose of doing that. And since I am an Asian who is supposed to be excellent in math, and because that stereotype actually works on me, coincidentally, let me just do this math for you in my head. If you were to take Indian origin Asians out of the equation, Chinese origin Asians as of 2015 would account for 30% of all Asian American population. That was just a quick math in my head. All Asians do that when we're bored. We just do math in our head and don't think about anything else.
Wow, Pushy is getting emotional, a rare thing to see.
Anyway, you get the picture. That means if we were to apply that data, when anyone asks an Asian American to go back to China, excluding Indian origin Americans, which isn't exactly accurate because there are also lighter-skinned Indian Americans who actually look quite like me. But for the purpose of this talk, that obnoxious person asking an Asian American to go back to China would be wrong 70% of the time because 70% of Asian Americans or our ancestors are not from China. again excluding Indian Americans. Therefore, unless someone has the ability to accurately know exactly who is from China, applying this go back to China or anti-China sentiment to Asian Americans is really unfair and affecting a lot of innocent yellow folks.
So if we know for sure someone's from China, can we tell him or her to go back to China?
Of course not. I'm not from mainland China, but I can assure you most of my mainland Chinese American friends are good people who work hard and contribute to this society no less than any citizen does. And, to be accurate, Chinese Americans are still Americans. They deserve the same respect as any other Americans. With a heavy heart, we're going to hold 9 seconds of moment of silence. Now, please tell us briefly about Mr. Pak Ho's case.
On March 9th of this year, Mr. Deontay Bailey, a 26-year-old African-American male, got off a car, hit Mr. Pak Ho, a 75-year-old Asian male, in the head and robbed Mr. Ho. Mr. Ho then fell onto the ground, where he hit his head on the pavement of the street and passed away 2 days later.
There is this stereotype that Asian Americans or Chinese Americans are all rich. I don't know where this came from. I can tell you that Asian Americans as a community or ethnicity generally works very hard, but not all of us are rich.
According to Pew Research Center, U.S. Asians have a wide range of income levels, and per the Pew Research Center, the U.S. Asian population overall does well on measures of economic well-being compared with the U.S. population as a whole, with Indian Americans, Filipino Americans, and Japanese Americans making above average income when compared to all Asian American population.
Chinese Americans are the next group after Indian Americans, Filipino Americans, and Japanese Americans, just slightly below average for all Asian American population.
Asians have a lower home ownership rate than the U.S. public overall.
All Asian-headed households, except for those headed by a Vietnamese or Japanese individual, are less likely to own a home than American households overall. Please let this sink in, and you should realize that Asian Americans are not as rich as some of our fellow Americans have believed to be the case.
Also, about 26% of Asians live in multi-generational households, higher share than the 19% of US overall.
Again, let that sink in. I'm not saying we're poor, but not all of us are rich or own a home. So this saying on some streets, we just need to rob some Asian Americans or Chinese Americans when we don't have money, needs to stop. Because not only is it completely wrong ethically, but it doesn't even have any scientific basis. Next, please tell us briefly about Mr. Bawi Chung's case.
On March 14th of last year, Jose Gomez, at the time a 19-year-old male, stabbed and slashed Mr. Bawi Cung and his 2 kids. One was only 2-year-old and one was 6-year-old because he thought the family was Chinese and infecting people with the COVID-19.
Mr. Bawi Cung and his 2 kids were not Chinese Americans. And this goes back to one of our initial points. This anti-China sentiment is seriously affecting a lot of innocent folks, including Chinese Americans, because China does not equal Chinese Americans. More importantly, leave the kids out of this hate because kids are special and they really have a special place in all of our hearts.
According to Pew Research Center, 70% of Asian Americans in the U.S. aged 5 and older spoke English proficiently in 2015.
This doesn't mean they did not speak other languages, but most of the Asian American kids born in America will tell you English is their first language. Think about that. English is their primary language and most of them are not Chinese origin Americans. So, when yellow kids are asked by some other kids in school to go back to China, which I have personally encountered as a kid, and trust me, it still happens today. How the hell are most of these kids even going to be able to survive in China? Because most of them don't even have any ties with China. Even for Chinese Americans, most of them here in this country value this country more than China. So please teach all of our kids to treat each other kindly and with respect. Last but not least, please tell us briefly about the Atlanta spot shooting tragedy.
In a nutshell, on March 16th of this year, Mr. Robert Long, a 21-year-old Caucasian male, shot and killed 8 people from various Asian massage parlors/spas in Atlanta, 6 of which were Asian females. Mr. Long stated this was not racially motivated.
In our opinion, this was racially motivated and hate crime against Asian women. If you don't agree with us at this point, I don't think we're going to be able to change your view. And although I don't think your view is okay, life goes on.
The reason we're bringing this case up is because although we agree this is a hate crime and racially motivated, we also wanted to mention that Facebook did remove fake anti-Chinese posts claiming to be from Mr. Robert Long.
We want to raise awareness that even though there are individuals who are so anti-China to the point they are anti-all Asian Americans, there are also individuals out there who try to manipulate Asian Americans into feeling being hated by America or a particular group of Americans more than justified. We don't know their motivation, and we're not here to guess. But one of the core values of this channel is to provide you with facts, sometimes our opinions as objective in our mind as possible, and leave the rest to you so you can make the best informed decision for your life.
You can find more interesting facts about Asian American from the Pew Research Center, which we are sure we will cover more in the future.
For now, fellow Americans and Asian Americans, we're all Americans, and I do believe we all want nothing but the best for this country. So let's do our best to work together. And for all of you Asian Americans out there, stand strong, stand firm, and keep working hard. Keep contributing to this society and country as you have always done so. Help one another and reach out to other races when they need help. Most of us are good people. It hurts to swallow sometimes, but that is life sometimes. We're the Pushy Mushy. We pray for all victims and their families of hate crime, and we wish health, happiness, love, and peace to y'all.